Alright, Anyone But You looks like it's going to be the last film that I review in 2023. Still hoping to catch the Iron Claw, but at the very least it'll probably be after Christmas that my review comes out for that. So this is a rom-com. It comes to us from director Will Gluck. The only thing that I know that he's made is Easy A. It was an early 2000s coming-of-age comedy that felt like it was riding the wave of Mean Girls a little bit. This movie is riding the wave of every R-rated rom-com to ever exist. It does not have a single original bone in its body. Although, to be fair, I think the capacity for directors to make rom-coms original in 2023 is pretty limited. I mean, what really can you do? Granted, I'm not a professional screenwriter, so you guys out there, go be creative and do something a little innovative. And generally, I think people like rom-coms because they're predictable, because they spread positive energy, and you know that by the end you're going to watch two characters fall in love. And that's all good and fine, but it doesn't mean that they're immune to criticism. This film stars Sydney Sweeney as B and Glen Powell as Ben. These two meet, they go on a first date, everything goes well, but unfortunately due to a misunderstanding, they split ties. 6 months later, they reunite at a wedding of mutual friends, and to make their exes jealous, among other reasons, they decide to pretend to be a couple, even though they appear to hate each other on the surface. Oh boy, I wonder what's going to happen next. Now, one thing this has going for it is that I do really like Sydney Sweeney and Glen Powell. Powell in particular has great comedic timing. Put this dude in more comedies. I think he's awesome. I don't know why, but I can't unsee the fact that to me he looks like a combination between Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. Anyone else see that? I think Sydney Sweeney is a great actress too, but she's not naturally funny in the same way that Glen Powell is. And a lot of people have critiqued this movie by saying that she feels miscast, and I can see why they feel that way. A lot of her line deliveries just came off as so deadpan that I don't really see the humor in her character except for when the writing does the heavy lifting. But I thought she was fantastic in reality, so maybe she is more suited towards dramatic roles rather than rom-coms. Not that she was bad. And some people will like the deadpan dialogue because a lot of the romantic stuff between these two characters is superficial, it's corny, and that's what a lot of audiences want. Despite the fact that I think Powell does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the comedic stuff, the two do have chemistry together. I did buy them as a couple. So how is the humor in terms of screenwriting? Well, aside from Glen Powell just generally being quite hilarious, there are some good jokes, but for every good bit of humor, there's a really bad one to follow it. And usually it comes down to the fact that the situations these characters find themselves in feel so contrived and completely unrealistic. The best kind of humor, at least for me in these movies, is the awkward stuff. You know, the stuff that we can all relate to because we experience it as well. For instance, when these two characters first meet, they clearly catch each other's eyes. Sydney Sweeney runs to the bathroom and spills water all over her pants. It's simple, but that to me was one of the funnier scenes in the movie because I feel like it's more relatable. In contrast, there's a scene later in the movie where B sticks her hand down Ben's pants and pulls out a giant huntsman spider, and that just feels like a cheap gag. It's not funny because it's so contrived and absurd. You would never have that thing in there and not notice it. I'm not gonna bother talking about most of the side characters because they range from forgettable to just flat out annoying. There's not much else to say. I absolutely did not hate this. It just left me with a feeling of indifference. The wedding that they attend is set in Sydney, Australia though, so it's at least nice to get some beautiful backdrops to everything that's happening. And I mean, you know, you could spend your time worse than watching two attractive people fall in love with each other and argue every once in a while. It's by no means a terrible movie. It's, if anything, it's good background noise. Wait for it to stream and put it on while you're working on something on the side. Unless corny rom-coms are just your favorite genre, I don't really see a reason to rush out and see this in theaters right now. So let's give Anyone But You 2.5 stars. Third film in a row that I've given that rating. I guess mediocrity is just really common in Hollywood right now. I do have Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield stuck in my head after watching this, and that's not nothing. Anyways, I'm eager to hear from you guys. How does this compare to rom-coms that you've seen over the last couple of years? And I hope everyone has an excellent holiday. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for checking this one out.